So if you didn't exist, Sean, how would the world be worse off with regard to SEO? Would
It
a client struggle to find a competitor? And if you can look at that gap as to why they would struggle and what would the world be worse off without you, that's where you're starting to get into your competitive advantage, your value add, and the long-term survival happens in there.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Leadership Stack podcast, the podcast for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs to increase your leadership, teamwork, and profits. This is your host, Sean C., aka Mr. CEO at 22.
That your purpose of your company, especially as an entrepreneur, has to overlap with your purpose as an individual. A lot of entrepreneurs will do a business and then say, well, once I succeed, then I'll give money to a charity. And what that means is that you've divided your activity, if you will, into two. There's the day job and there's the side hustle. And your side hustle is what you're passionate about. I want to be able to give money to this charity or to a church or whatever it is. And I don't care how I get the money, but that's what counts, is giving money to the church. But there's a gap, and that gap is costly.
With these companies, and I'm sure you have seen the rise and fall, because you mentioned that you've seen big companies lose their purpose because of stress, pressure, and generally the overall governance that are all about the bottom line. How do you now share this with companies who are like SEO Hacker? We're at a scale-up stage. We're not a startup. We're 10 years old, but we're trying to scale up to the enterprise level. We don't have VCs. We don't have investors. I'm still the CEO and founder. But how do I share with the rest of my team that, hey, you know what? If we don't have and we don't uphold this purpose within us, within all of us, this is what's going to happen.
It's abstract until I actually have your purpose in my hands. But the general principle for anybody listening as an entrepreneur is to consider what is their purpose. And I prescribe the inside out model. And what is the inside out model? It means that the purpose that you have has to be personal and professional. So it's inside of you as the founder, the CEO, the entrepreneur. And it also then has to be inside your team, your core team. Your core team have to be your number one fans. I want to get back to that in a moment. And then you need to make sure that that purpose is beneficial to them. It's not that because being just the service mentor mentality and making your customers happy is not enough. This is, for me, the fault of Amazon. Amazon's mission or purpose is to be the Earth's most customer-centric organization. And I think that's a fantastically ambitious idea. What's wrong with it? It's making, no one could say it's wrong. It's making customers happy. And as a customer of Amazon, I'm generally very impressed by their service and the website and everything. Fine. But as an employee of Amazon, what's it doing for me? Being the most customer-centric company on this earth, that might be beneficial when on a Saturday morning I'm at home and I put in an order on Amazon. And then it comes to me and it gives me great service and I'm happy. But what about the other 5 days when I'm at work? How is it making my life a better place? How is it making me a better person? So the inside out model has to resonate inside out. And to go back to the point that I just skipped over, I have a thing called the brand tattoo test. And the brand tattoo test is to what extent you and your inner team are prepared to have on their body, regardless of whether they actually like tattoos, a tattoo, a piece of your skin that would have forever imprinted on it a representation of your brand. If you think through that, the reason why you would do it, sort of obvious as an entrepreneur, but why would somebody else want to do that? And the only way that happens is that what you are doing resonates inside. Because, you might put the swoosh of Nike, you might put the think different of Apple, and I think different. I'll put an apple on my body because I think different. I don't work for them, but I love that think different attitude. That is a value that's core to me. It makes me feel real and meaningful. And so it's a long-term idea because, by the way, Sean, I got news for you. Your employees will not work for you forever. Actually, you won't either. So this notion of permanence has to go beyond the end of your company or the end of their contract with you, because then it's a part of you. And so having that element that really has that permanence feeling, that's a great way to start thinking about why your company is important. And then obviously, this is let's say somewhat abstract. I don't have a tattoo myself, but philosophically speaking, this is what you need to be thinking about as you consider driving down your purpose and your values into your company.
That's actually a very big thing, a very big test, I'd say, because not a lot of people would like to put on any sort of tattoo. And so that's baseline. And then not everyone, I'm sure, would like a tattoo of their company's logo on their arm or anywhere else in their body. So that is actually a really good test. Something that, we could ask our people in the team, hey, would you put an SEO hacker tattoo somewhere in your body?
I would do it start with me,
Yeah.
and you, that is, and have your own understanding of why you would do that. Because only when you as the founder would like to do it. I mean, I've asked this question hundreds of times in front of audiences. And usually what happens is I get a few people who do it more spontaneously because they like tattoos. But generally speaking, the characteristic of the people who put up their fingers or their hands, that's because they are the founder. It is their company. And that's more understandable. It's my baby, right? Who wouldn't have their own baby on their skin? However, the trick and the challenge is having it feel into all the other people on the team. Again, regardless of actually whether they like the tattoo idea. And then that is where it gets powerful. But of course, you need to start with you. You need to have a really clear understanding, as I said before, of what is your purpose, why you exist, not just some sort of generic, not some sort of vague idea, but a very specific one. And knowing where the overlap is, because it doesn't have to be, again, 100% overlap, but just having done that work. What is the north? What is the purpose of my company? What is my personal purpose? And how much of it overlaps? Once you've done that piece, the overlap part, like a Venn diagram, can be the thing that you want to have on your body. But the overlap is going to be different for different people.
Would you have some specific questions that entrepreneurs can ask themselves to bring out the true purpose? Because I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs listening into this are thinking of stuff right now. Oh, this is my purpose statement. This is probably my purpose statement. But are there guide questions that you can use to actually bring the real purpose statement out of someone or an organization?
Again, being pragmatic, you need to survive and all that. The big question is, how would the world be worse off if you didn't exist? And here's the point. Maybe in taking SEO, I'm going to guess it's a crowded field. Lots of other agencies doing SEO. So if you didn't exist, Sean, how would the world be worse off with regard to SEO? Would a client struggle to find a competitor? And if you can look at that gap as to why they would struggle and what would the world be worse off without you, that's where you're starting to get into your competitive advantage, your value add, and the long-term survival happens in there.
Just for you guys who are listening in, my answer, the first thing that popped into my mind would be, it would be very difficult for them to do SEO right the first time. Because you're right, there are so many SEO companies out there and agencies, and a whole lot of them are doing unethical SEO. It's not illegal, but it's unethical, meaning they try to exploit loopholes within Google's system because it's easier, it's faster, it's more economical for them. But for the client long term, since Google's hiring the best of the best minds in the world, Google's going to find out those exploits at some point in time. And you, the client, will have to also take the hit because that's the work that has been laid down in the building process. So I'd say that, if we're not around, a lot of companies would find it hard to start their SEO right the first time.
So there's an ethical component to how you operate, which is really important. In a world of unethical practices, short-termisms that might win this week, but not this year, those are parts of the benefits. There's opportunities also to express that in a way that links into the types of customers that you work with, the types of distributors you work with, the people who are the hosting your servers, and how ethical they are, making sure that there's an integrity, there's a fullness to the way everybody operates with whom you choose to partner, to hire, and to have as clients. And you could, choose to fire clients if they operate in a contrary way to your ethics. And that's how you start to build up a bigger purpose. And once again, I don't want to be tyrannical about this. And the fact that one doesn't have exactly purpose written down on a perfect piece of paper, fine. My purpose, it took me years to hone it, change it, feel more comfortable with it. By the way, shit happens and the journey comes along, and don't be dogmatic about it, because that's the quickest route to failure. So you need to have a pragmatism, and you need to live with it. And as you get older, I'm much older than you. I've had many different iterations of my life almost, and my purpose has evolved with me, and I feel good with that. I'm right now at a position I can't even imagine now it changing, but hey, allow that to happen.
Would you have the funding needed to start the technology and make it cutting edge, or create new
Mhm.
technology that would be able to beat whatever Grab or Lala Move or all of these other logistics company own already? I don't think ang labanan would be the manpower or the vehicle. That's no longer the case.